Cheers, cheers. We are here, and that means you are listening to the Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9. I'm so glad to be back with you all this year in my retirement year. You all know anniversary is coming up. You all, if you all remember, have been, for all those who have been tuning in from the very, very beginning, you know my official anniversary is February 14th. It's Valentine's Day every year. Typically, I have a big show out on the Thursday following Valentine's Day. But this is my retirement year. So I am in my fifth season. So the big bash, the big blowout, the big go out as I go into television, hand clap, will be at the end of the year. I am not going to reveal yet the location, but yes, I have the location, and you all know how I do. And you know how I get down, okay? But it's invitation only this time. You all know I usually post, anybody can come, but it's invitation only. Text GROW to 770-249-5992. Text GROW. You all know I have an amazing show lined up for you tonight. I have friend to the show and my girlfriend, My Diamond, who will be here this evening. We're going to talk about her business and sense corner so you all can get tapped in. But we're going to talk relationships and business. We have a lot that we've experienced similar and dissimilar as well. And you all know my theme this year is growth and healing and growth, and how we balance our relationships and our professional lives, whether we're corporate America or entrepreneurs, et cetera, et cetera. And you know, I have that 7:30 crazy for you at the 7:30 hour. And what would Sin say at the top of the 8 o'clock hour? So make sure you stay tuned in and share. You're listening to the Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9. And we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9. It's time for Sin's Corner when I bring you into my corner and share a little something I want to share with you today. And I want to bring back in my girl, my diamond, and friend to the show, Miss Chastity Moore. Say hey to the people.
Hey to the people and hey boo.
I was about to say, hey, boo. Look, we're going to handle a little business and then we're going to get right into what we do, right? Okay, so you've been here. This is your third time.
It is.
Friend to the show for real, for
Show
real.
for real.
Okay, and friend in real life.
Okay.
So I'm not going to get all into the boss that you are yet, okay? And how that shows up in your relationships, both family, friends, all the personal, all of that. But you, my friend, have been, first of all, you've been a business owner for quite a while. Tell them how long you've been an entrepreneur and your first successful business that's
So
still popping.
so I've been an entrepreneur since I came out of business school. While all the rest of my friends are going to work at Colgate Palmolive and all of the brand companies coming out of B school, I decided to start my own business.
Wait, but what made you do that when all of your peers were going into corporate?
I had a internship at Otis Elevator, which was United Technologies,
Okay.
and it was in Connecticut. And I went in every day, my first year in B school, and it was the summer. They shipped my car down there, they shipped me down there, and I was there for 3 months in Jersey. So I partied in New York every weekend. But every time I went into the office, I said to myself,
You
"This
didn't like
isn't
that.
me." And they offered me six figures coming out. I was 21 coming out of B school. I was 21 coming out of B school, and I said, "No, this isn't me," because every time I would go in the parking lot, I would literally turn down my music and become a different person. And I did not want that for myself. And I had faith in myself. So I knew that I could do whatever I wanted to do. So I just decided to do me.
Did you have a safety net?
I did not. I did not have a safety net.
Yeah, I want you to talk about that because I know that's a question like, okay, somebody was paying your bills.
No, I did not have a safety net. I came from Spelman right to
Spelmanite, my Spelman sister. Yes.
My Spelman sister, and I went straight to B school,
Okay.
which is business school at
Right.
Clark Atlanta University. So I just went across the street.
Right.
And I decided that when I decided I wanted to do something for myself, I happened to be reading an article and I saw that Clinton, who was the president at the time, had earmarked some funds called enrichment funding. And it was for public schools to do activities. So I created a whole business around this enrichment funding. And it was called Ceramics on Wheels. And I ended up having a manufacturing plant and shipping ceramics to schools all over the country until he left presidency and that funding ended. So I did it for years.
But what made you confident? Who in your life
Okay.
was the influence that not just said you don't have to do corporate America, but put you in contact, whether it was the school, Clark, or whatever, into the resources, and made you feel confident, like I can do
this.
that. Yeah.
Life was a little different back then than it is now. It wasn't as fast paced. Gas was 99 cents a gallon.
Take me back,
Girl. And I didn't have any children. I wasn't married and I was 21. So I did not know the concept of fear. I just simply did not know the concept of fear. And told my mom, I said, "Mom, I'm going to stay at home for maybe another year so that I can do what I need to do." And she was like, "Well, why you ain't going to work?" She was like,
Because they don't know nothing about that. What you talking about?
And actually, she had been an entrepreneur. She had a law firm when I was growing up, but she decided to segue into teaching at the university. And so it had been a while since she had kind of been in that entrepreneur life. But I grew up with parents who were entrepreneurs. And so I kind of understood the ups and downs of it. And so I said, if it's ever a time to do it, it's now.
Okay.
And so I didn't know if it was going to work out. I didn't have any guarantees, but I had faith in what I learned in business school.
Okay.
I had faith in my experience in marketing. And even though in business school you do understand the concept of business, you do have a concentration. And my concentration was marketing. And I know every business is built on marketing.
And that is the truth.
Yeah, I have faith in that.
Got it.
I have faith
Before
in
I
that.
get into your current businesses that are thriving right now, would you recommend college?
Yes. And I differ from a lot of my entrepreneur friends in that.
You and I are on the same page with that.
Yes, really.
I recommend my children owe me an undergrad. They don't owe me a graduate. They don't owe me a doctorate. They don't
Yeah.
owe me anything.
Yeah.
They owe me, and we're gonna have they have both of them currently have businesses, right?
Uh-huh.
And I feel like my duty,
Yes.
while they're in school now and throughout their college career, is to make sure that's established so it's thriving by the time they actually step into the world. But you owe me an undergrad.
I agree. But my 19-year-old doesn't agree with me. He is an aspiring model and he doesn't agree. So, your kids teach you.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree. And he's not mature at 19. He didn't give himself an opportunity to segue between high school and real life.
Yeah.
He got thrust into real life because he opted not to go to college. College is a safety net.
Yeah, it really.
College exposes you to all type of different things so you can determine what it is you want to do. You don't know what you want to do without exposure. He's known what he's wanted to do since 3 or 4. And I understand that he's at his prime in terms of his years to do what he's chosen to do, which is modeling. And I'm supporting that. But in my heart, it hurts.
Yeah.
Because I feel like college was an opportunity, college and graduate school was an opportunity for me to learn who I was, but have a safety net and not have to be worried about bills and responsibilities.
Yes.
And so otherwise, as parents, we feel like we are taking care of people who think they're grown. You're grown enough not to follow the path I've carved out for you and that I can afford to give you.
Yes.
And so that is it's a whole situation in and of itself, but it's teaching me. But I'm putting faith in that second child, baby.
I know that's I know that's right. And I think your children are older, mine are younger. So I've instilled to them pretty young. I think sometimes, our generation, I think probably when they were coming up, that wasn't necessarily your thinking, because that's not how we were raised, to instill like, okay, we're going to do both, kind of. So to them, we're going to do both. That's my job to build this up. And I get it. I get it. I understand, but you said the key word, safety net.
Yeah.
I felt very safe in college. I felt very protected, and it was some of the best times of my life.
Exactly. And he doesn't understand that. And right now he's struggling a little bit because he wants to be an adult, but it's hard, and I don't want him to go into that work lifestyle. And that's what happens when you miss the proper steps.
Absolutely.
That is what happens when you miss the proper steps.
Absolutely, 100%. Okay.
Okay.
So you have multiple thriving businesses.
I do.
2 main ones that I know, but you got all kinds of stuff going on, child. But tell them the 2 main businesses that you operate now.
Okay, so Afforded Tax Biz in a Box is one that I have had this is my 14th year. And I started out and I decided to create what's called a Biz in a Box because people wanted to know, how can I do what you do? And I'm not one to withhold information. I'm like, well, let me just monetize this and create a Biz in a Box. And I did it at a time when people weren't doing it. And so I had to kind of carve out a niche for myself. And a lot of people really jumped on that train. And a couple years ago, it became a 7-figure business. It's now multiple 7-figure revenue grossing business. And it's one where I've given opportunities to people all around the country. I have about 115 preparers that took the Biz in a Box and everything that I offered in it, including the tax software and the bank products, and they service their clients using it. And so that's how I have been able to really capture that audience. It's women who look like me, who want something more in life, whether it is something they do on the side or something they do full time. We have people who do 5 returns. We have people who do 600 returns.
Oh, my goodness. Where can who want to tap in, where can they go for that particular business?
They can go to Afforded Tax Biz in Box. Okay, Afforded, that's AFFORDA, bizinbox.com.
Okay.
And on all social media, we're Afforded Tax Bizbox.
All right.
And so you go on there, you see the packages we offer, and you decide which one is right for your life.
Now, one of your newer ventures into business is the Business Owners Emporium, which
is.
we absolutely love. I won't take your shine. Makes me think of when you did your grand opening. I was throughout that building, honey. Like, and yes, then this room is, and like I
She
own
was
the
the
place.
hostess with the mostest, baby, and I was loving
I was
every minute.
like, listen, my sis, Business Owners Emporium is popping, okay, but it really does encompass everything that we need as business owners, but adds the vibe to it. So explain that.
Okay, I like that. So the Business Owners Emporium was created out of frustration as a small business owner. I wanted to, after COVID, I wanted to find somewhere where I had a space to work and to be creative, and that was as beautiful as my home.
Yeah.
And so I
Which
had
your
a
home is beautiful.
Thank you, baby. So I had a hard time finding that, so I decided to create it, and it's 7,000 square feet worth of just plush and inspiring and creative space for entrepreneurs. It's a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs, and it's what we call the first corporate business solution center in Atlanta.
Yep.
And so, with that being the case, we provide solutions for entrepreneurs, workspace solutions, meeting space solutions, and business service solutions.
I love that. And I know one of the key things that a lot of business owners need in general is the virtual mailboxes.
Yes.
And but what you don't learn until you really get into business is how important the right virtual office, the right virtual mailbox is instead of the 999 one.
Yes.
Break that down for the people.
Yes, and that's why we call ourselves the corporate solution center. And the reason that's so important is when you have an online presence, because you're a home-based business, you want to have a corporate presence. You don't want to have a postal box presence.
Yes.
And so we are in a corporate building that has multiple floors, 7, 8 floors. And so when you look at that business, it screams corporate. It screams business. So you automatically have an online presence that's bigger than probably your home building, or definitely if you go to one of the other post boxes.
Yep, 100%.
And so that's important, whether you're setting yourself up for funding or you're setting yourself up for your clients to Google you and be able to see something that they have faith in. So it's very important to situate yourself right from the beginning, but it's never too late. Even if
Exactly.
you are well into your business journey, you can always restructure your business simply by adding a business address, phone number, and email.
And that's a fact. So between virtual mailboxes,
Okay.
your office space,
Yes.
conference rooms, your co-working space,
Yes.
and one of my favorites, and you have a super big kitchen, first of all.
We call it the Cafe Emporium.
Yes. Is the relaxation room. I don't know if there's another name for it, but
Yeah, no, that's it.
okay, the
Yeah.
relaxation room, honey, because as a business owner,
Yes.
how often are we stressed?
Yes.
And working from home mostly for me, ain't no relaxation room.
Yes, that's a must. And let me tell you why that's a must. At the Business Owners Emporium, our intent was to provide everything entrepreneurs need under one roof. And we got to relax. We got to take a breather. We are in there 8, 10 hours a day, and oftentimes at our desk, other than to just get up and use the restroom. And that's why we have a cafe with the snacks and the things that you need to replenish yourself. We have the replenishment room where you can sit down. All the elements are there: water, fire, wood, just nature, everything that you need to kind of have a woosah moment, whatever that looks like for you.
And you also, I forgot if you need to have a big virtual meeting room and the podcast room.
Yeah, the podcast room is specifically for entrepreneurs who want to reach their audience. The Webinar room, which is a coin that was a term that was coined by Lorenzo,
Yes.
and that's the hybrid webinar room. It is an event space. You can have up to 250 people in your event, up to 6 speakers, and it's not like a regular Zoom because the sound quality is crisp, and you can record it, and the microphone follows you and the camera follows you as you're speaking, so you can record your content and you can resell it and really monetize it. And I did an interview recently with Focus Atlanta, and they said, "Oh my God, were you in a studio? Because the sound quality is so crisp." And I said, "I am in a studio. I'm in the
Mine.
Business Owners Emporium event space."
That's right. Mine
Morning.
I love it. Please tell them where they can find you, where they can book, their meeting space,
Okay.
their memberships, and all those kinds of things.
Yes. Okay. So bizownemporium.com is the website as well as the social media. bizownemporium.com. And so everything you need is right there on the website.
I love it. All right, you all. I will drop that tag for you. This is Sin's Corner. Chastity Moore, owner of the Business Emporium, friend to the show, my girlfriend and my diamond.
Yeah.
She is just doing such amazing things and has consistently done that. And so one of the other reasons I said when she was coming on the show, I said, well, we got to talk relationships and business, right? So now that we've got our business affairs out of the way, we're going to come back with a little bit of 7:30 crazy and get right into our relationships and business conversations. Make sure you stay tuned in and share. You're listening to The Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to The Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9. It is time for that 7:30 crazy. When I read a little story and we decide whether we think it's 7:30 crazy. I feel like this one is going to get a little long.
Okay.
All right. So this is sometimes the 7:30 crazy can come from Fox News because believe it or not, Fox has some crazy news that they can put out there online.
Show enough.
But this one comes from the Shade Room.
Uh-huh.
All right. One of our favorite housewives. It's not really her, but her whole scenario, Portia marrying Simon, right? So there's two posts on the Shade Room. It's her and Simon because they just had their wedding and all these like wonderful things going on. Now they're in their honeymoon in Costa Rica, living it up.
Okay.
Right? Then I think a couple of hours before that one is his ex-wife, Fallon. Remember, she got with, she started dating some guy. I don't think we knew who he was, right? Much younger than Simon, number one. And they broke up.
Oh.
So they did a little announcement. They're going their separate ways. It was a really nice breakup.
Okay.
Nice, not breakup, but nice little announcement
Yes.
that they put out there. All right, so not that part with the 7:30 crazy or whatever.
Okay.
So my question is: it 7:30 crazy for her to have participated in a reality show? To me, it wasn't long after Portia and the crew came to the pool and
Yes.
hung out, right? That all of a sudden Portia is not just with Simon, but fast forward, really fast track.
Yes.
They're engaged, and now they're
Yes.
married. Is it 7:30 crazy to just I feel like your marriage had to be on the rocks.
Yeah.
First of all,
First of all.
was that a reach? I don't. I feel like there's a whole situation that could potentially be 7:30 crazy. What do you think? What do you think?
So I think their marriage was on the rocks, and a lot of times people do monumental things in
Like
order
Hail
to try
Marys.
to save their marriage, like have babies and go on reality shows and things of that nature. And so I think that when you are in the limelight, it exposes what's already there.
Right.
And so in terms of Portia,
What you gotta say about her?
she unapologetically did what she did. Okay. And it ended up working out for her. And even though as a woman, and I'm almost 50, I'll be 50 this year. I'm not as bold as her, I don't think, because she lives her life to the point out loud to the point she don't care what anyone else thinks. But I remember when she first came on the show and how much she cared about her image, how much she cared about her then husband's image, and how much she has gotten to the point where she's just going after her own happiness, whatever that looks like. Now, she expressed the fact that they weren't her
I don't
and
think
the
they were
ex-wife were
friends.
really good friends.
Yeah.
We don't know what went on in terms of her going to her and say, look, sis, I know you guys are on the outs. I know you guys are done with your marriage. I am exploring a relationship with this man, and out of respect, I'm just giving you a FYI.
Right.
So we don't know what that looked like between them. I personally don't like any husbands or mates of my girlfriends or siblings or cousins or
Right,
anything like that.
right.
I don't know not a one of them
Right.
that I would want.
But let's say that you met. Let's just say that you met someone out. Let's say you met someone. You have a rapport, but you don't know. You hardly know their last name. You
Okay.
hardly know their last
Okay.
name. Right. But they invited you to their house, and it was cool.
Yes.
But you don't know them like that.
Yes.
But they saw you like, oh yeah, come over to my house. I have a pool. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then that's what I feel it really
Happened.
was.
And they did it for the show, didn't they?
Yes,
If I remember correctly.
because a lot of times that's how the reality shows are set up. Like
Yes.
somebody has to introduce them
Yes.
into the show.
Yes.
and it really did not come off like they were friends.
Okay, so what do I think about that? So I think that sometimes we have plans and life happens.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of those life happens. And it also seems to be one of those situations where they found happiness with each other, because it's been, what, a year or two now? And she did fast track that thing.
Yeah.
But it seems like it has worked out for them in terms of merging families.
Yeah.
And you can't apologize for love.
Yep.
You can't apologize for love now. With that being said, I probably would never have known the love because I'm just not going that route. I'm not open to those types of
Right,
things. But again,
right.
I could be blocking my own blessings. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I'm glad I have never been in that. I've never been in that scenario. But a very, very dear friend of mine, back, I think if we weren't in college, we were right out of college,
Okay.
like young, like 22. And she came to me, and this is her girl. Like this, her girl. Her and her, longtime boyfriend, they were no longer together at that time. But they were in in an environment, and the chemistry was there.
Yes.
So before, she didn't move on or anything like that, but she called me and she asked my advice. I said, there's no judgment, right?
Yeah.
I said, just understand that, are you willing to accept what's on the other side of that you might lose a very good friend of yours on top of it not work out? Because it feels good, right? It feels good when the chemistry is chemistry,
Yes.
you know? But then when you really get, you know how it is when you really
Yes.
get into the groove of a relationship, it's the real
It's
deal.
the real deal.
And so then if it doesn't work out, not only did you lose that, and you all can't even go back to being friends, you done lost your friendship,
Yes.
over
Yeah.
here. But I'll say this, and then we're gonna go to break, honey. So Simon, we're like what I call associates, right?
Okay.
Associates, and we're following each other. And when he got with Portia, he unfollowed me. Why he do
No.
that?
Are you serious?
I'm for real.
Maybe she went through his little Instagram, was like, she
He was
too
like,
pretty,
"It's a
she too
no,
pretty.
it's a
It's a no.
no,
Because
it's a
I know
no."
what I did to get you, so I want to make sure they don't try to
Right, but it was
steal my
was
book.
all business. I can't remember if the honey bun, it was at all meetings, and all those
Yes.
kinds of things. But whatever, honey, all I know is when they got together, it was a
No.
unfollow Simon.
That's wrong because that's when you know how you did it and you know your mate's susceptible to that. So you're just trying to plan ahead.
I
So if
know.
you guys ever get to the points where there's a little gap between the two of you, like with him and Fallon, that nobody else can swoop in, baby.
Okay, listen. All right. All right, that's at 7:30 crazy. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Chaz and I are going to get into a little kitchen table talk and how we handle our relationships, handle our businesses over the course of our life because we both experience different types of relationships, both intimate with our, parenting, with our families, but we both, I feel like, are different, not necessarily different people, but we've come into ourselves as we're in our relationships now compared to back then. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into it. Make sure you share, share, share. You're listening to The Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9. I've got my girl and friend to the show back in the building, Miss Chastity Morris. Say hey to
Hey,
the
boo.
people.
Hey, Simon.
Cheers. You ready to get into some kitchen table talk?
Okay, I'm ready.
Now,
I'm
we
here
can't
for
give
it
them
all.
all of our kitchen table talk, honey, because we take it to another. Oh, I was thinking I don't know, it wasn't the last time we got together, but the last for your birthday.
Yeah, okay.
Because we celebrated your birthday later.
Later. Yes.
Honey,
It
we
was
was
a lot
cutting
going
up.
on. We was cutting up, baby. The cut.
If you could, okay, if you could be a fly on the wall, you would want to be.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so relationships and business is kind of like between relationships and business and growth and healing, right? So even though you don't look about to be 51, honey.
No, 50.
we
49
So what
about
are we
to be
doing?
50.
What we doing?
Not about to be 51.
I'm sorry. I thought that's what you said. He said 52. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, he's 52.
Are we doing something big? Are we going somewhere? Okay, table that for a later conversation. Okay, so about to be 50.
Yes.
Don't even remotely look anywhere near it. Let's talk about marriage for the first time. You were married how old the first time?
I was 29.
Okay, so it was later. It just seems like you were much younger.
No, I wasn't.
I mean, you were young. That's still young. But,
Yeah, but it wasn't as young as you would think.
Yeah.
I didn't have my first baby until I was 29. I came home from the honeymoon with a baby. And together with dating and being married, we were together 17 years.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
Okay. What was his age range compared to you at that time?
He's 7 years older than me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
7 years older. Do you like? Did you have a pattern of dating older?
I had not. He was the oldest person I've ever dated.
Okay.
I thought maybe maturity would come with a man who was a little more, a little older. And so it felt right at the time. Yeah.
Okay, so felt right. Did it feel right, or is that what we supposed to do?
You know what? I really think it's what I thought I was supposed to do because I was 29 and I was so happy single. I was so happy not having had children. I was that auntie that grew her business.
Yeah.
I was that fabulous auntie
Hey,
who gave good gifts,
auntie.
spent time with my nieces and nephews, and was there for all of my cousins' events, all of my siblings' events, always throwing an event. I was that person because I did not have children and did not have responsibilities of being a wife at the time.
Or did you get pressure, you think?
I think
If you
I
look back?
pressured myself now that I look back. At the time, my sister was getting married. We ended up having a double wedding in Jamaica. So we
Okay.
both walked down the aisle together. And her boyfriend had asked her to marry her. Mine had asked to marry me. And I had said no. And then when she came and announced her wedding, about a month or two later, I warmed up
So
to
your
it.
guy said no. Your guy asked you and you said no.
Sure enough.
So what made you say no? How long had y'all? How long had y'all been dating at that time?
We had been dating maybe like 6 months,
And how
7
old were you?
months.
How old were you?
I was 27,
Okay,
28, somewhere
okay.
like that.
What made you say no instead of like, okay?
I played it off. I was like, nigga, please. I was like, you tripping.
Oh, like you shouldn't have asked me,
I
kind of
was like,
thing.
you doing way too much.
I had I'm so glad he didn't ask me, but I had this guy tell me, oh, he was like, I know if I asked you to marry me, you would say yes.
Passive aggressive.
I was like, no, I would
You
not. It would be a solid no. We're barely committed right now, like barely. Okay,
But we were committed. We went on one date.
I was barely
Oh, okay.
committed. Okay, barely committed. He was like, you wouldn't. I was like, no. Like, are you delusional or what? So was he delusional? Was he a narcissist, you think?
Later on, I learned that that's what it was. I didn't know that term. I didn't know any of that, but he saw what he wanted and he stayed the course. He had a whole mission and vision statement around me.
Yeah.
And I didn't fully understand that level of planning. I didn't fully understand that level of identifying what you want and really going after it. I'm a live and let live type of person.
Yeah.
And it did feel right. We went on one date and we were together, I was a serial monogamist. monogamist. I had a stage or two where I dated a lot, I was a serial monogamist, so I just didn't know what I didn't know at the time, child.
I don't know. I wouldn't call myself a serial monogamist at all, but I definitely wasn't committing. I wasn't like I'm over here monogamous, but but I definitely knew something about me was like I didn't want to commit. But it was hard. It's hard when you are a certain way because the way that you and I are,
Yes.
we exude. It just oozes out of us femininity while we're still bosses. And they don't
That's a
know what
good
to
way to
do
put
with
it.
that. We ooze femininity while we're still bosses. Like we dance real well
Between the
in
two.
that, and it's intentional. And so
It
I think
is.
that's the thing. Like we actually know what we're doing.
Yes.
And so that attracts. It just attracts like
does.
bees to honey.
It
Okay.
does.
And so I have found it hard in my dating life to stay. I have to actually work hard to stay single when I'm single.
Oh yes,
You
it is a
know?
job. It is
That
a
is a
job
thing.
because I was single for many years after I got divorced, and it you always find yourself in situations where men identify that they want you,
Yeah, and
and
that's
then
it.
they are hardcore in it.
And they put all them obligations on you without your permission.
Yes,
That's and
yes,
it's so
they do.
people don't understand that. And then I hear people who are single and dating, and they commit themselves, right? And I'm just like, no,
Prematurely.
no.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they commit themselves, and they ain't got no commitment on the other
None
side.
on the
Okay,
other
I'd be like,
side.
no, you need to
Because
be
people would
dating.
commit themselves to me with no commitment from me.
I will say, now that's on them now.
It is.
That's on them. But I would say, but it didn't matter what you said though. Like they'd be like, I mean, I hear you though, but we together,
Yeah.
real bad.
Okay,
All right, we're
Carisha.
going to take a break. We're going to continue this conversation when we come back. It's time for What Would Sin Say? Make sure you stay tuned in and share, share, share. You're listening to The Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9, and we'll be right back.
No, we'd have gone through the whole bottle, right?
Welcome back. You're listening to the Unbroken Experience with Cindy B on Power 108.9. It is time for What Would Sin Say, when we try our best to answer as swiftly as possible the questions and the comments that you slide in my DMs, send to my email. Sometimes, you try to. I don't check Facebook Messenger, y'all. But anyway, Michael, what you got for us today?
So first of all, people mad because they can't see me no more.
That's on you.
No, it's
They
not.
want to
Hold
see.
on,
They
did I
want to
change-
see all that.
We gotta say we.
They want to see it. They want
Look at God.
you
Look
see
at God.
it.
Look at
You
God. Hold on, I didn't change the
see.
camera over. Just keep talking. I gotta change the camera back. Look at God. Ooh, I gotta go prep myself.
You know what? Look. Okay, while he go, let y'all see it. So, just to let you all know, the studio setup has changed, and so the soundboard and stuff is in another room. But he
You gotta
wanna.
tell them all that.
I'm telling this my
This your
people.
last year.
Don't do that.
You is out.
Don't
you ready?
do that. You come.
Hey Buchanan.
Hi.
Hey, who's your friend? I
Don't do that. What was Sensei?
All right. So can I read the second question first because it's so
Sets it
goddamn
down.
long. Oh my
But
god.
we might not be ready. Give us a little something small first. Okay. All right. Let's pay attention.
Okay,
Chaz.
here we go. Here's a quick one.
Okay.
Can a separation help heal a marriage, or is it a precursor to divorce?
Chaz, what you think?
Don't look at me. That's not my question. Yeah.
A separation can help heal a marriage. I was separated for 6 months and opted to go back to the marriage and stayed in it for another year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
Separation gave perspective to my then husband, who was able to really communicate with me effectively thereafter and entice me back. Recommit to some things that he just told me what I needed to hear in that moment. And so separation can give perspective, yes.
Yeah.
But oftentimes when we go with our gut and with our guidance, you don't need separation because you know in that moment that you've made the right decision and you're pretty confident that whatever is to come, that's your journey in your next phase.
So I think that separation can, but what you said that it brings clarity. I think that separation can bring clarity on you making the right decision. I do feel like many divorces are premature. I feel like many divorces needed a little space, needed a little break to be able to determine. Sometimes that's why people who divorce, they dip back over later because they didn't let themselves go through those phases of emotions. You're mad, and then when they don't respond the way that you want to respond in your anger, you get petty, and you get sad.
Yes.
Then you want to work it out, and then in the work it out phase, did you do any healing during that phase to be better?
Yes.
A lot of times they don't, but there's rules to separation. That's a whole different conversation. And a lot of people can't do separation.
Yes, they
And
cannot.
that's the key. They can't do separation.
What are some of those rules?
I've talked about that on the show.
You have.
Some of those rules are, we are separated, but we are still married. We are just physically in a different space. I don't recommend you getting a new lease or living by yourself because you can get into that space and love
Being
it.
sick.
Yeah, and then a
Baby.
lot can take place, and you haven't gone through the phases. I feel like there's phases of the heart. When you have those kinds of breaks, stay with someone if you can who supports the both of y'all.
Okay.
If your mama don't like her,
Don't stay with your mom.
Don't stay with mom because she be like, "Ooh, I was been waiting on you to come home, child. I never liked her, So it's not going to be conducive. But I've talked about that, but I'll talk about it some more another time. But yeah, there's rules to it, and many people can't follow the rules.
And see, I don't agree with that at all.
Which part?
I don't agree that there are rules to it. I think as a grown person who makes my decisions, whatever I want to do in that moment, I can own it as long as I am upfront and honest, because during my separation, I was just waiting for the papers to be signed. I lived in a hotel during that time. Me and the children we were chilling. We were going swimming every day. We were working from
Who
home.
paid the
They were
bills?
um, we still did what we always did.
I feel like that's
Yeah,
rules.
we still did what we always did.
They were rules
Because we had a house to maintain, but I left the home.
Yeah.
You can have this big, beautiful home. I'm going to find my peace.
But there were maybe unspoken rules. Maybe he had a code as a man that we're going through a period, but we're still together. I'm gonna still make
Okay.
sure the bills are paid.
Yes.
But a lot that don't. You're a lot more mature,
Yes.
than many. And why there are rules that have to be spoken, and if they don't agree, then maybe separation won't work, for you all. Maybe a full divorce,
Yeah.
or we gonna stay in it until we figure it out. Because in my particular scenario, he was like, if you ain't home, you on
I'm
your
not
own.
paying. See, I was independent. I was financially independent, so I wasn't.
And
really,
I wasn't. I was in the marriage,
Yeah.
but we began to. We went through our separation in the midst of the mortgage crash.
Oh, okay, that's a whole different scenario.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
remember the mortgage crash, and we leaned on each
Devastating.
other heavy.
Okay, devastating. So
Yes.
I was killing it. All the way up until that time, and literally in the midst of that was when
Yes.
we were splitting, and he was like, "I don't want a divorce, but you ain't about to go out of this house," and that's how it was,
Okay.
And I'm the type of person, if you let me out on my own, I'm on my own,
Yeah.
period. And what happens out there is my
Stays out
business, because you left me on my own. Don't do that, Michael. You know how I am. All right, what's next? What's next?
All right, so here we go. So, in need of some advice. I'm completely heartbroken. 2 weeks ago, my wife had gotten physical with me. Not the first time that this has happened. I had a work injury and was taken out of work indefinitely until I get an appointment with a orthopedic surgeon. She ended up making me walk home from the hospital, maybe a mile or so, tops. Not a big deal. However, it was cold and snowing. When I arrived home, she completely lost her cool, whipped up the paperwork that I had to give to my employer, screamed, yelled, called me numerous names regarding my weight, my work ethic, which I've always had at least one full-time job and a part-time job. So I attempted to leave the house. She blocked the door, proceeded to continue to verbally and mentally abuse me. Went to leave again. She started hitting me, closed fist in the head, then proceeded to claw my face up, drawing blood until I called the police. Fast forward to today. At this point, there is little to no communication, and she tells me she just wants to completely separate and throw the last 8 years away. Refuses to have any sort of conversation about what happened that day and why. I want to work it out. I love my wife. I miss my wife. I'm very confused on what to do at this point, and I'm almost feeling jaded. That's a Drake jump.
Jesus.
Am I stupid for wanting to work it out? I told you that was a long ass question. Damn.
Let me tell you something. You got
It's not my question. It's
Let
not
me
me.
tell you something.
Yeah.
You have to find your worth. Whatever you allow, it's going to continue to happen. So as long as you allow it, it's going to escalate. So at some point, you have to have a stop. You have to have a doorstop and be like, I don't need anything else to happen. I choose me. I choose my sanity, and I also choose a different course in life. So you got to stop the momentum at some point, because otherwise
can't.
it's going to keep going, and obviously she doesn't have any control.
He can't. He's like what we call battered wives, right? And
Okay.
I feel bad for him, because luckily he's saying something, because most men would not, because it's
Communicate.
not an acceptable thing for a male to be the one abused, right? Honey, but I'm just let you know. Okay, you can leave her. Don't nobody want that. Don't nobody want that
Or
at all.
deserve that.
No, don't nobody want her.
Oh, okay. Nobody wants that.
And so she talking about she leaving, but she ain't leaving, because don't nobody want that. And she might be dipping out on you right now, and she's giving the uncrazy side
Yeah.
to that person until later,
Yeah.
I hope that you get help, sir. I hope that you get help. You don't deserve that.
Homeboy, come down to the battery with
She
me. It's
said-
a jungle down here.
Okay.
I got you.
Come on down.
Perspective.
Okay? Get
Yeah.
you all the way
Perspective.
together. What if he fine? He just feel like he not fine on the
Exactly.
inside, but he fine on the outside.
No,
I don't
listen.
care
Send us a
because
picture.
that level of brokenness is not going to be fine to someone who understands and can
No,
recognize.
no,
fine.
no, no. There's I don't know men like that, to be honest with you, but I do know broken women like that that are just drop dead gorgeous. You be like, why you think like that? Do
So
you
there are some clues in here.
Oh, he said his body.
He said numerous names regarding my weight and
She
talking about
found
his work ethic. He work a full-time
done.
job and a part-time job.
That could be
I
because he
ain't
don't
saying-
make enough money,
I
so
ain't-
he got to do all that.
But I
so
ain't saying
she's
brothers
like,
that work a full-time and a part-time. Like
that's commitment.
I ain't saying that.
That's commitment.
What's that part-time job?
I'm gonna need him to
know.
That
stop.
nigga at
I
Popeyes.
don't know.
That
It's a struggle.
That nigga
Okay,
at
over
Popeyes.
there.
Is the nigga at Popeyes or?
I'm gonna need him to stop. Ain't nothing wrong with Popeyes. Ain't nothing wrong with Popeyes.
Oh
Shout
man.
out to all of our.
Someone said he not telling what he did though.
They never do.
If she gonna close fist punch that man and scratch him until he bleeding, he
She
ain't
was
doing
emotional
much.
about something that he did.
He might be, but he ain't doing much.
I thought you said
And
this
she
was quick.
said,
I thought you said this was quick.
you know how what was saying. It's supposed to be quick, but it ain't.
That's
but,
what she said.
And he said she had him walk home after
Right.
surgery,
She punking him.
and she knows she can.
She knows she
that
can.
that man
That's
ain't
why I
done
said
nothing.
you gotta stop the momentum because people will continue and do worse and worse and worse unless you stop the momentum by making yourself scarce.
But sir, you're gonna have to get help because it's clear you're unable to do it on your own.
She fine and she cheating.
She ain't fine.
She
Nah, she
fine
fine.
and she
She
cheating
Yeah,
and
she
she got
fine.
that. She got that.
She fine. Yep.
She got
I
that.
totally
I
fine.
agree.
don't think so.
Evidently,
she
I mean,
fine.
some people are.
She might have been fine at one point. And
Mm.
if you fine, you got a fine man, right?
Not always.
No.
Not always.
I know that, right? So it's like she's fine,
Yeah.
and knows she fine, and she got a fine man.
And so possibly he's let his self go and he's no
Right.
longer fine to her.
Or she fine and she's insecure.
Yes.
Found her insecure man and is able to just like be in her insecurity.
There's some dynamics going on there that they probably should both explore independent of each other.
This is complicated.
Yeah, they should just let it go.
Okay, we're gonna let that go.
All right, here we go. We got two more questions.
Okay.
I try to take part in the things that my husband likes doing, but God, it is so boring. Like, he wants to go to a little bar near our house, right? I go with him, right? Gone with him before. But all I did was sit there and watch him waste money on a gambling machine. I mean, I'm not that fun of a person either. I go to work and pretty much stay home. I've asked him if he wants to go on a date or to the mall or anything, and he always says no. If we do go out on a date, it has to be somewhere that a bar is. I mean, what else can I do? I've tried to partake in his hobbies, but their hobbies and I don't get along with each other. I'm not sure what else to do.
Well, this is coming from a person who was married for as long as I was, and we had almost nothing in common.
Oh.
We did not do anything together. We created a life full of memories apart, other than our children. That's one thing that we just had in common. We love doing things with the children.
Okay.
But in terms of our personal, and I remember going to a counselor at one point, and the counselor telling him, she's creating a life full of memories without you, without you in them. And we got to the point where he was trying to spend more time doing things I wanted. I was trying to spend more time doing things he wanted, and it didn't mesh. So he was like, you know what? We're going to be good being good. And so we made that decision. And so I understand what that looks like. I don't think I've ever had a mate who likes to do the things that I like to do. I just haven't. We like spending time together, especially now that I'm the age that I am. I'm very clear on how I want to spend my time. I'm very intentional on how I spend my time.
Right.
Howsoever, I do understand that everything isn't for everybody, but I'm not going to throw away the baby with the bathwater if we have other things in common.
Sure.
But I'm not one, and I know you're a little bit different because you spend so much time with Ryan.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yes,
I'm a little
Michael.
different.
Yeah, before you jump in, and can I answer the question?
Mm-hmm.
You don't mind?
I don't mind at all.
Cause like, when's the last time you had me as a guest on your show?
Had what?
Had me as a guest on your show.
Okay,
Don't do
today.
that. Don't.
Today.
Sagittarius, we don't be in our feelings like that. We don't be in our feelings like that out loud.
Nah, I agree with you because Tasha and I, we've been married for 26 years now, and we are the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
We're both Sagittariuses, right? I'm an extrovert. She's an introvert. I love to party and be in front of people. She'll rather stay at home.
Right.
The one thing that when we talk about being in a relationship this long with somebody is that forever compromising is the key. That's what I always tell these youngers out here.
Yeah.
They always ask me, what's the best advice you can give? You're gonna have to compromise. The longer you're together, your needs and wants are gonna change over that
and
time
evolve.
period. And if you cannot adjust to that, then things are gonna happen, right? I had to realize that my wife loves to go shopping, right? She's an interior decorator,
Yes.
so she loves home goods, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, all the furniture. She loves that, right? I'll rather, on a Saturday or Sunday watch football,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? Or go to the bar, like, oh boy, but I don't be gambling, playing a little stupid game, but
Right.
anything like that. But what we did was we found a way to accommodate each other and
Yeah.
compromise with each other.
Yeah.
Because now I had to find out the technique when you go to TJ Maxx, right? I had to find the technique of how to make it nice. Because as a man, if you standing there and you at that rack and you start doing this with those clothes, you're gonna find something.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So I made it enjoyable
For you.
experience for
Yeah.
me as well, and I think that's what men and women have to do for each other when you're in a marriage.
I think that's the key, though. So yes, Ryan and I spend a lot of time together, but what people don't see on the inside, or what people don't see on the outside, is that in our home we give each other space.
Okay.
So we have upstairs, downstairs. I'd be upstairs for hours.
Yes.
He'd be
Having your
downstairs for
space.
hours. And anyone who knows me knows I'm gonna have my girl time.
Yes.
I be out.
Yeah.
Now he be at home, but I be out. And so I think let me tell you something. You ain't know your daddy talked to me for a very long time.
Did he at
Yes.
the ribbon cutting?
I actually want him on the show. How old is daddy?
He'll be 80 this year.
Oh, he's vibrant.
Yes,
I did
he
not know
is.
he was
He
almost 80. He told me, he said, you better be your man's secretary. Because if not, your secretary is going to become his woman. And I don't agree with in terms of like just being the most, doing the
Yes.
most out of your capacity,
Yeah.
right? But let me tell you something. I'm all up in my husband's mix, and he's up in mine.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably more up in his mix than he in mine.
You are.
Like, all right, what you need me to do? Do you need me to type something?
Help
you need me
me.
to do something?
Help
But Syndy, can I say
Okay,
this though? Like,
yeah.
I really respect what you just said. Like when y'all at home together, the DC came out
together.
Together.
Same thing with Tasha and I. Like even when I'm home, like she's in her space and I'm in her space. Like we're not up under each other. We're not
Yeah,
cuddling.
yeah.
But that time being together, because I could just yell upstairs and say,
Right.
Tasha, you good?
Right.
You
And
need something?
that's
Like,
literally what
that's
he does.
time
Yes.
together, and people don't realize
And see, I'm a
that.
little different than that because
Okay.
even though I don't require to do a lot together externally, because I really choose on how I do my time, I think one of the things that I do require is intimacy, and that for me typically happens at home, and that means if my intimacy tank is not full, then my attention's elsewhere.
Well,
If my intimacy tank, and that does not always look like what other people require, because I spend a lot of time working. I spend a lot of time with my children. I spend a lot of time I'm a caregiver for my
Yes.
grandmother who's 100 this year, and my mom who's 73 or 4. And so I don't have the time that a lot of people have. But that intimacy, you can kiss me for 15 minutes straight at the house, and my love tank will be full.
Yeah.
You can look me in my eyes and rub my body up and down, and my love tank will be
This
full.
is
So
the Unbroken
that
experience after dark.
I see.
Okay.
that
I'm
is
trying to figure out who the hell kissing for 15 minutes.
oh,
Like,
I have
No,
to have
she
it.
does-
is this tongue and all?
Yes, for her.
Yes.
For her,
Yes.
yes.
For me, that is a requirement. I'm very sensual. I'm very sexual with my mate. And so that is a requirement for me. And I can't say that I was always like that, even when I was married, because I was in
You
the time
always
of
say
children.
that, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
But at this age, that's what really gets my goat, because that's what I want to experience in this
But I think
phase
it's
of my journey.
I think it's about what works for you. If for
Yes.
everyone is different, and
Yes.
even for me, it might shift later down the line. Maybe
It
earlier
will.
in the years, it might look different.
Yes.
But as long as you're in tune, I think the key is in tune, because I can in my sanctuary that I call home. I like to be whatever it is that Cindy B wants to be.
Okay.
So if it's by myself,
Yes.
I want to be by myself. If I want to go cook in the kitchen, I'm going to go cook in the kitchen. You know, so, but what I do know is if I've been gone, because I can be in my little space
Yes.
for a while, I will intentionally come out of my space and say, oh, let me go sit with my husband.
Yes.
Because I can,
I thought you about to say something else. My
Sit
bad.
on my
what you think I'm going to say? Say it, say it. Can I get on
Yeah, I
top
ain't gonna-
of it
yeah,
or whatever it's
I ain't
called?
gonna do that. My bad.
But no, I will say, because during football season, he's gonna be in that same spot.
yes,
for
they all
hours
are.
and
They
days.
all
Or I don't know nothing about
Yes.
it. 13 years down the line, I
Me neither.
still don't know what's happening. But all I know is, listen, I don't know. I just be like, oh, okay, you know.
happy, I'm happy.
Right, but I'll do my part, and but if I know it's games all day long, at some point in time, I'm just gonna sit. I might be on my phone doing something that entertains me, but I'm gonna be right up
there.
with him because I've been upstairs or in my own space for so long. But I think the key is that it's okay if you don't like what they do, but like be involved because you want them to be involved. I know there are many things
You don't
that.
want, girl.
Honey.
I already know.
Or if you
But
know,
he's right there.
He'd be right there, and
He'd
I'm gonna
be
stick
right-
by her. I'm gonna stick by
Yes, he
her.
does. He'd be
but
right
if it's
there.
if it's things that like you said, you got to give that person their space. Like like I said before, it's forever compromising. And when we have this conversation, for instance, as a season ticket holder, right? If I go to the game on Sunday, Tasha's not going to say Saturday, hey, we going to my mama's party on Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Exactly.
She's not going to say that
Yeah.
because she already knows that we have season tickets, and she's not going to
Yes.
do that. And what she's not going to do is she's not going to say, well, I want to come to the game Sunday. When I know she's not a fan of
Right.
the game, and she's going to be bored and she's
Yes.
going to be ready
Right.
to go.
And then it
she's
impedes
not gonna-
upon your
it impedes on-
happiness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's not going to do that. And that comes from her making that compromise to say, you know what? Like you said,
That's you.
your time.
That's
Yes.
you.
Guess
That's
what
your
I'm
time.
going to go
Like,
do.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And I love that because I know I be out.
Yes, you
I'm going
Ah,
I don't be out like that.
Hey.
I don't be out like that. But I am going to
She's gonna
spend.
have fun wherever she is.
Yes.
But
I'm-
see, Sin is not flirtatious, and neither
hell
am
no.
I. We are not. Well, I'm a little more than
Y'all
she
just
is.
give off.
But we
y'all,
just a
y'all
very.
are beautiful
we
women.
have fun with our
and
lives.
Y'all carry yourself
Yes.
a different way, and people can
But
take it the wrong
but
way.
when I say no, I don't think nobody's ever taken it the wrong way. But when I say I'm
you just
out,
do take it the
I'm
wrong
out with my girls. I'm out. I might be out by myself. I might. I'm being Gwinnett if I'm out by myself because I don't.
She don't like driving like that.
I don't like you know.
Johns Creek area.
Okay, but and if my girls want to go somewhere, I'm gonna travel somewhere. Like
Yep.
that's me. When I say I'm out, I'm out. I'm going to live life. I don't know what you got going on, honey bun, but I'm gonna live life because there were many years where I couldn't. You know, from growing up, I couldn't do nothing. Mommy had me on clink, 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 clink,
Oh.
education, and that's it. Okay,
it.
and then I got married young, clink, clink. And then life hit me. The market crash. I'm 20. I'm only
Yeah.
26. You know, I was.
Clink, clink, clink.
And now that
Really?
I'm all right, and I've been all right for a little while, it's like I have to live life. And I remember when the husband and I first went on our first cruise together. It was my first cruise. He had been on many cruises, but he did not experience cruises
Oh,
like the way
you
we
showed 'em.
did. Well, thankfully, my aunt, she's the one, because it was my first time,
Uh-huh.
and my aunt travels, with us once a year. And he was like, nah, he was like, all we did was get drunk. But he enjoyed himself, and so we've done multiple cruises, since then. But I just love that he allows me to be me.
Yes.
He allows me to just be the vibrant person that I am. I'm only vibrant with the people that I want to be vibrant with. Outside of that, he knows I will be like this. How you doing? But with my people, I'm like extrovert on 10. But if I'm not feeling you like that, I'm like, oh, I'm an introvert, and yes, I don't want to talk to people. I don't like them.
And you know what, Tasha understands about me. Like, I'm always the extrovert.
Okay.
Don't care what room I'm in, whether it's
Yeah.
a cruise or on vacation. She's like, he gonna
He
turn
gonna
up
know
with
everybody.
whoever. And guess what she'll do? Like our last cruise, we did an amazing cruise, 8-day cruise, Morocco, not Morocco, Monte Carlo, Pisa, France. Like, it was an amazing time, but at the same time, I made sure that the next day I was myself for her, because she
Yes.
loves to go out
Yes.
and do the excursions. So guess what? When I'm out entertaining everybody on the goddamn ship, I'm not overdoing it.
Yes.
So I can wake up in the
Yes.
morning and give that same experience to
Baby.
her.
It's
You
just
know what I'm
about the
saying?
that
intention.
So when she find me at the
beautiful.
goddamn martini bar at
Yes.
10 o'clock,
Yes.
meeting people that I never know,
She knows
but they
you gonna show up
attract-
for her
She know
the
I'm gonna
next
show up for
day.
her. No hangover.
I love
maybe
that.
maybe
I love
her
that.
ass will. Her ass gonna get up and go work out at like
Right.
7 o'clock. Not
Right.
me.
That's
Come
all
back
right.
and get me. You know what I'm saying? Come
Right.
back- yeah, that's
When you
Tasha.
done.
Yeah,
Like-
come back and get me. And guess what? I'm gonna be my full self, because once again, I made a decision to compromise.
Yes.
That side of me, to
Yes.
say I want to make sure that this day, the next day, that I give that energy
you.
to
I
her.
love
Yeah,
that.
I
yeah.
absolutely
I need to learn
love
more
that.
of that.
Yep.
I'm glad you put that in the forefront of my consciousness right now, because I want to do more of the reciprocity.
Yes.
Sure.
Because a lot of times when you give in a way that's not their love language, even though you're giving of yourself, I understand that that is a part of other people's love language.
I love that you say that. Do we have another one? Or are we done?
Yes, we
Oh,
do.
okay. So I love that you say that, because I talk about a lot that we have our own love languages, but who our mate is,
Yes.
that may not be their love language, and we're trying to love them the way our love language is. And I talk about, a guy that I did. I really liked him a lot, and he tried to love on me with gifts. Gifts is on my bottom
Of your love language.
of my love language, the very last one. Unless you gifted me with a trip, then
Yes.
I'm all good.
Because you
with
like
that,
experiences and quality time.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly, because it ties into my first love language, which is quality time.
Yeah.
But he would gift me and gift me and gift me, and I'm like, are we going to get together? I just wanted to spend time,
Yes.
with him. He was so busy and so busy, so busy. And his previous girlfriend, she just wanted all the gifts,
Yes. Yeah.
But like me, it's like, thank you. I don't really know how to show gratitude, because,
I want more.
yeah,
I want different.
and maybe that's not in your capacity to give, and that's why we didn't work.
Yeah.
Even though the chemistry was there,
Yeah.
it didn't work, because quality time was not, his he wanted work,
Yes.
and so he's like, I love you.
Yes.
Take this.
And that's how I
$5,000,
show love, is through gifts. So I definitely understand
Yep,
that.
yep. All right, what we got?
All right, last one. Y'all ready?
Okay.
I thought you said this was a quick segment.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
it didn't
been
work out.
47 minutes, though.
God damn.
It hasn't.
Oh, here we go. A good one. Should I go through with a divorce? No. Yeah, should I go through with a divorce if you and your spouse cannot come to an agreement over sex?
Yes.
Like, I'm not finished. Damn.
Damn. Well, we know it. We know
There we
it.
go. That's what we're saying.
Hey.
Sex.
Say, okay.
Let's go.
So should I go through with a divorce of a spouse if you cannot agree over sex? Like, if one person says they're holding back and the other tries, but it's just the same and no romance. Each person tried, but always end up coming back to square one. This is the only issue in the marriage. Sex.
Well, we know. Well, anyone who knows, I ain't gonna put her business out there, honey, but you better come with it, okay? Um, okay, but let's talk about because you know how to be in a long term commitment if you want to be.
Yeah.
Does it matter to that capacity to divorce if you like all the other boxes check, but the sex is not it?
It's difficult because if I can have an open, honest, candid moment with you, in my marriage of all those years, we had moments in time where we didn't have a lot of sex, and that
Okay.
was on me because he wanted to have it all of the time.
Okay.
But I was at a stage where I was building a business. I was at a stage where I was rearing children, and I was learning how to do this thing called motherhood and wifehood. And so sex was not high on my totem pole at
Okay.
all. I did not even know my own body because I was numb. I was kind of like the won't say the Walking Dead, but almost like that some of the time.
Okay.
I was numb and I was just trying to figure it out. And I was younger and I did not know myself. And so there were times when I even felt sorry for him. I'd be like, I know I need to do better. So, and if he were a different type of person, I know that would have been like major issue because it was, but he did other things to compensate. You know, men will do porn,
Sure,
men will,
sure.
you know, they're visual creatures, all that
Right,
good stuff.
right.
So, that was an issue. So I think it depends on your life cycle,
Okay.
what you're prioritizing in that moment. But one thing for sure that I know to be true is when you're conscious, you're in your body and you're intentional, those things do matter. Physical release and physical connection and intimacy they go hand in hand.
Okay.
And so those things do matter. So you don't want to go without. You want that release. You want that love. You want to show that level of appreciation. But that comes with a certain life cycle and a certain mindset. So depending on where you are in those things will determine whether that's a deal breaker for you.
I love that you say that when you said mindset. So I feel like how you said how you were in your first marriage and you were building a business
only
and raising.
My only marriage.
Sorry, I know. I be wanting to marry her off to my brother. Okay, her only married. No, but we got her married. No, I'm just kidding. But no, where you said that you were rearing children, you were building business, and like sex was not high on the priority list. I feel like that's me, right? And I feel bad, so I do like little check-ins with the husband. But what I will say with him is I'm intentional about stepping away and connecting though, and because when I do it, I'm like I needed that. But I can go when
Without
I'm
it.
building when I'm building and I'm grinding. I can go, but I look at it like I look at sex is how I look at me feeding into my marriage and me feeding into my children, me feeding into my friends.
And
Me,
that's
you
just
know,
one more thing you have to feed into.
well, I look at it as like, but you have to do it though, like, and not like I gotta do this. Like I actually like, oh, no.
I'm prioritizing this.
I'm
like I
prioritizing
prioritize everything
exactly, and that's how I look. That's how I look at it. And like, I'm not going to neglect my kids because I'm building.
else. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to be intentional with them. I'm not going to neglect my husband when it comes to everything else because I'm building. I'm not going to not ever talk to you or not ever see you or miss your birthdays and
Yes.
things like that. Like, I might not be able to be as present as friends who've known me for 15, 20 years. Like, I'm at everything.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I'm probably planning it before you even thought about it, but I don't have that capacity now. That's not me now. I'm not in that phase, but I'm going to be there at the important things. And so I look at sex within my marriage where I know my honey bun, he want it. Okay. But he knows that I'm not in the phase of initiating.
Yes.
And so he does. I do appreciate that he's not like hounding me like you don't initiate.
Yes.
Because I don't know what to tell you. Like
Yes.
it would not come off right. I
Yeah.
feel like I'd be like, a dancer in the strip club for the first time, like like for the first time. Me trying to initiate at this stage in my life. But I do tell him, so I'm intentional about making sure that that I'm intentional about being with him
Yes.
sexually because I want to be, but the way that my mind can, work and I tell him like, it won't be like this, all the time,
Yes.
but
You're more conscious than I was at your phase in life. You're more conscious because I wasn't that conscious to put that on my list. Because when I was building my business, I neglected everything, including my children to some degree.
Sure.
I was the consummate mother. I did play dates. I was there, but I was numb to some degree.
Sure.
I definitely did everything, but that came at a cost, and you couldn't enjoy everything, but you did mark it off. I marked it off my list.
Yeah.
So I did not learn to be as intentional as I am now. At that time, I just did not know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I applaud you for being as conscious as you are. And I think that as women, I was looking back at a video the other day of me and the kids when they were like 4 and 6.
Okay.
Or maybe 2 and 4, I don't remember. And they were like, "Mommy, sing our favorite song." And I did on demand.
Okay.
But I looked in my eyes and I was just like, da, 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 and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm
Tired.
exhausted." So every once in a while in this video clip, it would show. And I remember being in that moment. So it's important for no matter what life cycle you're in to be conscious.
Yes,
and
absolutely,
intentional.
100%. Okay, that was the extended version of what was Sensei. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue our kitchen table talk with myself, Syndy B, and your friend to the show, Chastity. When we come back, make sure you stay tuned in. You're listening to The Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Unbroken Experience with Cindy B on Power 108.9. Me and my girl Chaz. Been having some kitchen table talk. We just finished with What Was Sin Say, which was the extended version because we was on that for a little minute.
Girl.
But sometimes you can't answer them swiftly. You know?
can't.
It was a little bit sometimes loaded answer.
Yes. Because it was a loaded question.
It really was.
Yes.
And
we had to do it justice.
you got to do what you got to do. Okay, so let's get into our relationship and business talk. So we talked a little bit on both of us being married prior. When I was married the first time, I was 22.
Okay.
I was 22. I would have turned 23 that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. You were
So
young.
I was young,
Wow.
but I thought I had lived, honey. I thought I had lived. Like when I will say honestly, when I got married, I didn't feel like I did get married because I thought now I loved him, chemistry was there and all that, but I did get married with red flags because I was like, but you love him, you got
Yeah.
chemistry, and that's
Yeah.
what's next.
Yes.
You know, not ever thinking divorce was
Ever on the
ever
table.
on the table.
Me neither.
I did not grow up, even though I was not raised with my biological mother. When my dad married who I call my mommy, that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it and that's all.
so, and I don't know divorce. I just know that's your man, that's your woman, and that's it for life.
Really? See, I'm a little bit different. Even though my parents were divorced, of course, my dad remarried, but as an adult and very early on, I understood that you make and remake, create and recreate yourself, and sometimes that may not involve the person who you were with at the beginning of the journey. So evolution.
I have a question.
Okay.
So when you talk about it might not
Okay.
include as you evolve, as you grow, all
Yes.
those kinds of things. But do you think you owe it to that person to work through the kinks to see it to the other side?
Okay.
Because you're growing, you don't even know what growth looks like.
Yeah.
Right on the other side, you don't know. You're growing. You
Yeah.
don't even know what it looks like on the other side. I might be over there, you know, if you just work with me a
Yes.
little bit, you know. I just think about. Okay, let me just let you answer that.
I think now, I think that it's a decision.
Okay.
And if Iyanla Van Zant, she said to me, not personally, but in my head,
Okay.
as I was watching her on TV, I figured she was talking to me. She said, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind because you're in a different space than you were when you said yes. And I took that as empowerment because oftentimes I have changed my mind because I'm in a different space and I don't owe myself to anybody. And I'm a very free spirit in that. I have loyalty, but I do not. Once I have loyalty when I'm in it and I've decided to be in it, but I'm going to communicate with that other person when I no longer want to be in it. And from that point, really the loyalty is in the journey and in the evolution for me. It is no prize at the end of staying with somebody for 17 years.
Sure.
So, and
Sure.
I knew very early on that that was not my journey, but I made a decision and a commitment because I really felt like I want to grow my business. I want to grow my business, and this is security for these children who I love, but I know I can't do it by myself. But at some point, I had evolved so far out of the marriage that that was no longer a life that I wanted to live. So I chose me, and I tried to do it in a way that was going to be for everyone's highest good. It may not have looked like that at the time, but I was very conscious and intentional and kind as much as I could be. So I don't owe that to anybody. I do owe being kind.
Yeah, I agree with that. So this is my thought process on it. I do think that we owe it to ourselves to have the space and capacity to grow. And if I'm growing and I communicate where I'm growing and how I'm growing, and you do not submit to that or you do not support me in that,
Or cannot sometimes they just cannot
Yep, all of that,
submit
all,
or support
all of
you
that,
in
all
that.
of that, where you cannot, will not,
Yes.
won't not,
Yes.
whatever it is, you
Yes.
won't. It's
Yes.
not happening. You know.
Yes.
Then at that point, I believe that I owe you nothing further. Because there's no workability here, right?
Okay.
But what I would be devastated is, and I'm gonna take myself out
Okay.
because we can always speak from our
Yes.
perspective. If I'm growing, you best to grow
Yes.
with me, you know. but if I would be devastated if my husband came to me and he was like, "This is where I'm going. This is where I'm evolving to. What's our new game plan?" And I
Yes.
was like, "Oof, you crazy, you funny," and I move on. I carry on. And I
As
keep
if you did not hear him.
exactly, right? And then he comes to me one day and he says, "This no longer serves me." He has the right, in my opinion, he has the right to do that because
Yeah.
I was not trying to flow with him.
Yes.
And even though it might be uncomfortable for me, I was not trying to flow,
Yes.
and make this thing work for the both of us.
Yes.
But what I would be devastated is he's growing. He did not communicate with me. And he's like, "This no longer serves
Yes.
me."
Yes.
I would be devastated because I didn't even have the opportunity to try.
And that's where me and you are the same, because I said communicate with, and you said communicate with.
Yep.
But I don't feel as if after the communication happens,
Yep.
I want that person to pretend to be
Yep.
what they never will be.
Yep.
And sometimes if I know they never will be it, and if they've tried to evolve, I'm not wasting any more of your time or my
Or
time.
mine.
Because there is somebody there who can do everything that I know that you love and really
Yeah.
speak in your love language.
I'm with
Whereas
you on
I'm
that.
just not that person because I no longer want to be.
I'm 100% with you on that. As long as we're communicating,
Yes.
if
That's
I
all you
can't,
owe.
if I don't have the capacity to go
Yes.
where you're trying to go, then I need to let you go. Like I
And-
need to love you enough to let you go.
And in that example where that man was saying that she's done all of these things to him, and she's communicating to him,
She
it's no
is.
longer a good fit. And so at that point, you have to believe a person. They don't have to. A lot of times people want closure. They want a person to say it in their eyes and
They're
in
not
their
gonna do
face.
it.
And it's not a requirement for you to reclaim, in my eyes, for you to reclaim, okay, I only got one life to live in this moment. I'm going to go a different path because I want to create a different reality for myself. And that's really a decision that I made, and that I'm thinking when you have a crossroads most women make, and men, because it's not a right or wrong decision. It's, to me, it's really not. You can, our grandparents, they made it happen. They made
Right.
it work. It was a decision that they felt comfortable doing, but it is a crossroads.
Yeah.
And you make a determination which way in the fork you want to go during that crossroads. But whichever way you decide to go, you got to own it, because
Yeah.
if you have one foot in and one foot out, that's why I never go back to an ex. I've even my 6'4" fine ex-husband never saw my goodies after the day I left that marriage.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have one foot in and one foot out.
Yeah.
I was all the way into my new destiny. And that's how I choose to live my life.
Exactly. I'm 100% with you. I've never gone back to an ex.
Oh,
100
really?
I've never. Me?
Most people
Me?
have dibbled and dabbled a little bit,
Me?
and I can't, girl.
No. Now, but for me, I don't say that I'm done until I'm done. Though.
Exactly.
Like I don't play around. Like
I'm
I
clear
don't
on
want
that.
to.
Yeah.
No, I'll be like, no. I mean, you might be doing whatever, or you might have your own agenda. But I'm like, I'm not done.
Yes.
But when I'm
Okay.
done,
Yeah.
it's because I have exhausted all that I've got, and it doesn't take me long, to get there. But when I do get there, I feel like I've explored all options of making this work,
Yeah.
and when I say ex, I'm talking about ex committed. I don't have a lot of committed relationships,
Gotcha.
but ex, someone that I'm dealing with too.
Okay.
It's the same thing with
Yeah.
me. They may not have been a committed relationship, but maybe it was an intimate relationship. When I say
You're done?
I'm done, and I remember I think was the one who was gifts, and for a long time, you know, it was like I wasn't done with him. I didn't like the way he operated, but I wasn't done with him. But then when I was done, I actually had a conversation with him. So I'm one of those. I have a conversation. Like I don't just
We
be like,
over communicate.
you know, like you ain't never gonna guess with us.
here.
Like, you know, this is not
it.
working because of X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And, you know, so what, you know, best of luck to you, you know. But so that was the conversation I had, you
And
know.
that hurts sometimes, even for you. You have hurt behind that, and it's uncertainty, and you don't know if you're doing the right thing, but you are committed to your decision to be true to your guidance.
You're committed to your decision, and that's the challenging part that I hear when I'm talking to many people. They don't commit to their decision. And that is the reason why they face the challenges that they face in their relationship, because we don't, what did Jay-Z say? Like, we don't believe you. Like, I can't remember, you know, we don't believe you.
And neither
because
does your inner self, I guess.
One of my girlfriends, she was at that time, she's a longtime girlfriend now, but at that time we were newer, so she was getting to know me. We were only probably a year in at that time, and she was not dating the best guy for her. I didn't think that he was a bad guy, but I felt like they were not right for one another, and so they did not do each other the best. But boy, she would come to me and give her strife and grife, right? And then go back. And then want to come to me talking about, but he did this. And so she learned very swiftly that the second time it's like, okay, I'll give you a little bit of grace. Third time is a no for me. You know, it's like, just say that you're not ready to leave. And I gave her that permission. I don't think anyone ever told her, it's okay if you're not ready to leave. You don't have to justify. You don't have to tell me what he did to get back in your good graces. Nobody, you don't owe that to anyone. But what you do owe, for those of us that you're coming to, is just say, I'm going to stick by him, you know, I'm going to stick by him, you know. It's like and I remember telling her, you're not ready to leave, and that's okay. But what I don't want you to do is talk bad about him, and then you want to sit me in front of him to fellowship with him, because you all are back in good graces.
Can you do that? Can you fellowship with someone and the boyfriend and the girlfriend are back in good graces, or the husband and wife, and you've heard all these bad things about this person?
So it depends.
Okay.
If I know my friend and they're just a nagger, I'll be like, she got a good dude. You need to get it together, right? And so when we are fellowshipping one another, you'll find me like trying to push her over there, like, go see what he wants, and like, you know, or something like that. But if he is like low down, dirty Shane, no, ma'am, I do not want to go. Do not invite me. I'm not coming.
Gotcha.
I don't, because I'm not a put on kind of person. I don't want to be in spaces I'm not wanted.
Okay.
I don't want to be in spaces where I gotta, in our professional lives, we have to show up regardless, right? In my personal life, I should not have to do that. Now, as a friend, if you come to me, which my close girlfriends have come to me, can you do it just for me? I will do it. And I will graciously do it. It's not a stripe, and I'm going to be present.
Yes.
But it's because she asked me, and my heart just goes out to her, because I understand that. I understand where you are. Like, you're not ready to leave. As long as he's not putting her hands. I'm
that's different.
nothing like that. Like, nothing real crazy. But like, it's just y'all just going through it, and because y'all going through it, he done dipped out, or he whatever, and he's just all over the place because y'all are not facing y'all challenges together. Because a lot of times that's really what it is. Like, y'all just all in this gray area together. He's not a bad guy, you're not a bad woman. Figure it out. But in the meantime, all right, I'll come. I love being present for my friends. I really do. I like, but you just gotta tell me what you want. You know, I just don't want to guess, because I am that one. I don't want to be fake and phony.
Yes.
But if you ask me, then I know what I'm showing up to do. Like, I know my duty.
Yes.
You know,
I know my lane.
Yes.
I know what play my position.
Yes, I
see
know.
what you're saying.
But if you just throw me in it, I'll be like, why am I here? Hey, how you you doing? You know, like I do not, because you put me in it and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right
Yes.
now. So I'm just in my flesh because in my personal life, I like to be in my flesh. I like to be mature, but I like to be in my flesh. Yes.
Do what feels good for you, because
yeah,
that's your downtime. That's how you
authentic.
replenish.
I want to be. I want you to know who I am.
Yes.
You know, and so I want to be authentic in my personal life. So I'll be like, hey, you know,
I can just see your
you know, and I'll be over in the corner somewhere because I don't even know how to interact
Yes.
at this point.
Yes.
But if you say, Sin, I just need you to do this for me, and you know, I love him.
Yes.
And
As long as he's never done anything to you personally,
Oh,
or
hell
anything to
no.
one of your children.
No,
or
nothing like
anything
that. That's what I'm saying.
But
Nothing
outside
crazy.
of that, I can get with it. You like it, I love it.
Yeah, you like it, I love it. Until you don't, child. I'll be counting
you
down the
don't.
days. When is it gonna come?
Okay, we doing
When is
this.
But what would you
Together.
say? What would you? Okay, so I can't remember. I think I posted. You know, Instagram has these new notes, right? And I think I was like, career first or relationship 1st. I think that's a challenge that we probably went. I know that we went through in our, you know, in our generation, but I don't think that we were really given the option. I think this generation
They
now, they're like,
have the option.
I might not, you know. But what do you think? You know, even from looking now, even if you talk to your younger self, you talk to your now self, is it your profession first?
It is. That is what feeds my soul. Creation. The place of creation comes from the chakra, and you do have to birth it ultimately, just like you birth a child. So it all comes from the same space. I have a desire to create and birth and to cultivate, and that goes hand in hand with the children. But I couldn't do just the children, so that comes with the both of them. Now, if I knew then what I know now, I would have taken a different course in life, even at 29. But how I am now, my children understand who I am.
Yeah.
And my children, I think God gives us the children that we need.
He does.
I honestly do. Because if I had had some of my kids' children, I mean, my
Friends.
siblings' children, I would have had to show up as differently as a parent.
Okay.
But with the kids that I had, God really blessed me with the ability to really hone in and focus. And then they play a role within that. And then I play a role because I with my tax business, I'm blessed. 6 months a year, I wanted to create a business where I could go full throttle 6 months a year, and
And
6
be
months a
done.
year, it's all about me and the children. And when they were younger, now
Right.
they don't want to spend time with me like
Right,
that.
right, right,
But
right.
back in the day, they did, and we traveled. We did what we wanted to do for those 6 months. But 6 months a year, Mama was barely making it, and they got in where they fit in because they understood the journey, because I sat down and talked to them, because even at 4 and 6 we had that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
And so I made a decision. I told kids, this is the life I'm trying to create for ourselves, and this is what it's going to take. And so but I could not say those 6 months out the year that I'm not going to focus on this. And it's more than just money. It's more than just money.
it's you. It's your purpose. It's what you were called to do. And I think
It's
that's
my
important.
ministry.
Yeah. I think it's important to know who you are.
Yes.
And it's easier said than done when you're young. I do understand that. The tricky part is, you know, from generation to generation, we only pass down what we know.
Yes.
And so, you know, our generation of parents, it's, you know, it's not the profession for the women. You know, it's not the profession for the women. And then they pass it down and we pass it, you know. And then you get to a point where your nature, your purpose is trying to come out, and it fights with what the society and your family is trying to push you to, whether it's marriage, whether it's family, have some kids, you're 22, have them where they at, you know,
Yes.
kind of thing. And so I think the new generation is blessed to be able to be aware of more opportunity. If they decide that profession is my thing,
Then they can do that.
Then they can do that.
Yeah.
And a woman doesn't necessarily have to think about, you know, am I going to be too old to have children?
Yes.
Because there's options for that
Yes.
right now. But what you do have to do is think about what is more important
To you in
to
that
you
moment.
in
Yeah.
in the long term. I always knew, for me, I knew I didn't want kids
Until
early,
later.
but I knew that I wanted kids.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
knew that I wanted a family, but I knew that my profession was important to me as well.
Yes.
So the way that I've moved has always been to be inclusive of them all.
Gotcha.
But what I did not allow for myself is to not allow people to put pressure and obligations on me at a young age when I'm not committed. That
Knew weren't a good fit for you.
yeah. And so that's my only regret, that when I was single, you know, and I'm seeing someone that I really like, but I'm acting like I'm in a relationship.
Yeah.
And so now I'm putting all these obligations
On
that
yourself,
on
really.
myself. And that's my takeaway as we close out, because it's a wrap, honey. That time went by fast. Is to know who you are,
Okay.
whether you're young or older, because you never know what stage of life of discovery you're in. Know who you are, and you can only know who you are by experiencing life.
Exploring it.
Experiencing life, trying things, doing things, but not trying. Don't be out here trying things that's gonna derail you. I ain't say all that, but
You do have to experience life.
you
though.
do have to experience life so that you know who you are, so that you can really, really show up as who you are. Someone asked me recently, you seem like within your marriage that you just are. I was like, but I showed up who I am.
Yeah.
In this marriage, I showed up. So I'm not like springing stuff on them
Yes.
like as I go, like I'm like, no.
You knew from the beginning.
Yeah, like this is who I am. All of
And
me.
you agreed.
And you agreed to it. So you gonna stick by me, okay? You ain't going nowhere, okay? You tried it. You ain't going nowhere. All right, you guys. You're gonna have to come back,
Okay.
because this
thank
was
you.
quick.
It was. And it's not always like that with interviews.
I know. All right, you guys. The Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9. Friend to the show, my friend, my sister, my diamond, Chastity Moore. You can find her on at
Biz Own Emporium.
Biz with a Z, B-I-Z, Own Emporium.
On
Of
all
course,
social media.
On all social media. I'll drop that information. And you know where you can find me, the Syndy B, on all social media and my website. And you'll find me next week. I'll see you next week on Thursday. You're listening to The Unbroken Experience with Syndy B on Power 108.9. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Sin.